All right, so we'll go straight on to our feature presentation, which sets the tone for the webinar. So today's conversation starts from a simple truth, where justice is not a nice to have, it's the foundation of sustainable development. When justice is missing, poverty deepens, climate impact worsens, and prosperity becomes unequal. When justice is centered, solutions become durable, inclusive, and transformative. Why social justice matters now? So we're living in a moment of overlapping crisis. Social justice helps us understand why certain communities are always the most exposed and why solutions must address root causes, not just symptoms. So when inequality is high, communities have fewer resources to adapt to climate risk. Social justice isn't separate from sustainability. It determines who benefits and who bears the cost. So defining social justice. So social justice is about fairness in systems, not charity. It asks who benefits, who bears the burden, and who gets to decide. So poverty is a justice issue. Poverty is not accidental, it's shaped by policies, histories, and power. Poverty is shaped by systems, housing, employment, education, and access to services. So addressing symptoms without addressing structure leads to short-term fixes, not lasting change. So viewing climate change is a social justice issue. So those least responsible for climate change often face the greatest risk. So from heat waves to flooding, climate action that ignores justice can deepen inequality. So justice-centered climate action ensures those most impacted are also part of the solution. So you'll see that low-income and racialized communities experience higher exposure and lower recovery capacity. And these communities often contribute least to the emissions. So looking at energy, food, and transport inequity. So access to clean energy, food, and mobility, and as transportation determines opportunity. These are justice issues and climate solutions when addressed equitably. Now, the cost of ignoring justice, right, is that solution fails. So we see short-term fixes that collapse under pressure because they do not address inequity. Now, justice as a solution multiplier, right? Justice doesn't slow progress, it accelerates it. When people feel seen, protected, and empowered, policies work better and last longer. So looking at the economic returns of justice. So justice is not a cost, it's an investment. Inclusive policies strengthen resilience, reduce public spending and long-term um, reduces public spending long term and grow local economies. So looking at right-based approaches, so right-based approaches they work, right? And when you say right-based approaches, you're looking at community-led projects, right? Um, so when communities are decision makers, not just beneficiaries, solutions last longer and deliver better outcomes for people and the planet. Justice-centered approaches, they shift power closer to those most affected. So on the upcoming slides, we'll see outcomes from a right-based approach. So like a community-led approach. So first is a cooperative business model, right? So example, a worker-owned and cooperative models. So they build wealth, right? One of our panelists is a leader in the cooperative business model. I will highlight the model. So prosperity does not need to be extractive. Justice-based economic models create stability, dignity, and long-term community wealth. So connecting justice, so justice is hand in hand with resilience. So we see another outcome, looking when community leads, right? And then when you notice, if you look at recovery, community recovery after a disaster, the before and after. So communities that are, where the community makes decisions and are community led, they recover faster from disasters. So resilience is not just infrastructure, it's trust, networks, and inclusion. Justice strengthens all three. Now, when we look at justice through a human rights lens, you're right, a right-based approach moves us from charity to obligation. So governments and institutions have responsibilities. So when they do work, it's not just them having good intentions where we're like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, or something. No, but it's they have to be held accountable. They're required to do these things, and that's why they are elected to look after the people and make good decisions for the people with the people. Now, when you look at the SDGs, it does address justice at the core. So the SDGs recognize that without justice, no goal can truly be achieved. Equity is a thread that ties them together. So awareness is always the starting point, but action is the goal. So justice becomes real when it shows up in decision making. So your role, right? So you don't need to do everything, but you can do something. Justice goes through So justice grows through collective effort. So in the next slide, we'll show you how, and we would like to help you start the process, so that there are no excuses. So we're introducing our 30-day challenge. This challenge invites you to practice justice, not just talk about it. So through one meaningful action over 30 days, your role and the action you take can lead to a positive change. So more information on the challenge will be provided towards the end of the webinar. All right, so imagine if we took one action and went from a me to a we, right? The product, is systems change, right? So justice-centered action transforms concern into progress. So when equity leads, sustainability follows, and communities thrive. So I'll leave you with the question, right? What will change if justice truly guided our decision? What will change? Now, so justice is not abstract, it's deeply practical, right? Okay, so also I'll leave you with this quote, right? By Cornel West. It says, justice is what love looks like in public. Justice is what love looks like in public. All right, so thank you for being part of this conversation. Justice begins with awareness, but it sustains through action, courage, and community.